Welcome to Old Horse Racing All the Time. I'm your host, Al, with part two of a series, Betting on Horse Racing for Beginners. And today's topic will be using the picks of TV analysts and others when betting on the races. I'm going to preface this by yesterday, I put a show out there, the first of a series, using the horse racing TV analysts. And I want to make clear what I meant by that, how to use these to the analysts to improve your game. What all of them bring to the table is an in-depth knowledge of horse racing. It's history, trainer history, jockey history, horse histories, things that have happened at the distance, going back years. I'm not really talking about, when I say using the TV analysts, using them for their picks. That's secondary. That's the fun part. Listen to what they have first, what they're presenting, what they bring to the table as hardcore facts and knowledge of horse racing, things you could use to improve your game. And some people in some of the comments addressing the video, yesterday's video, they went off topic. Some were talking about whether, I hate this guy, or, it's going off topic, really. I want to keep that clear, on topic, and this is for beginners especially. You can use these people, these people you see behind me out here, the TV analysts and others. You can use them to glean insight into the game, learn different angles, and keep a notebook and keep notes of what they say. Maybe they give you a good angle to work by and grade it. This is to improve your game. So I'll put a link to that video down below, and you're not going to want to miss that. Maybe you want to rewatch it and take a look at some of the points that I'm addressing there. Really, not once am I addressing their picks. Some pick better than others, but that's what I'm talking about, how to use these TV analysts to your advantage, what they bring to the table as far as knowledge goes. Now, what about today's video? Using the TV analysts and others, the picks of others, whether they're a TV analyst or maybe they're a friend or maybe somebody who you consider a top handicapper or the best handicapper. And let me say right now, there's no such thing as the best horse racing handicapper in the United States or in the world. They say the best ones, they turn a profit over the long haul, turn a profit, top 3 to 5% fall within that range. But if the best, any one of the best, if you're a really skilled handicapper, you could be the best handicapper on any given day. You can beat all of these people that are here on this screen with me. And just look at the handicapping championships in the United States or the one in Vegas. Seems like almost every year or every other year, most years, some totally unknown turns around and wins that tournament with some big long shot pick that they just stabbed at in the tournament because they had to in the last race. And while some of the real recognized players, some of them in that tournament don't cash at all. So anybody can be a star if they're a good handicapper and knowledgeable. Whether you're in the 3 to 5% or even a tier below or two, if you know what you're doing and you know how to select your horses, you can be top dog on any given day. So keep that in mind. When I talk about you want to be your own top analyst out there, what I mean by that is you want to be able to make informed decisions about the horses and have a strong conviction about the horses. Because let's face it, when you're playing the races, you're not going to have somebody to hold your hand or give you picks every day. You're going to have, if you want to play the races and you want to do it well, you want to know what you're doing going in there, that you can get the job done on your own. Does that mean you're the best handicapper you know? No. What it means is that you're an excellent handicapper or a skilled handicapper that forms a solid analysis, provides yourself with solid analysis of the race. And that's really part of what this show is all about. Not just this show, but the live shows that I do covering the races as they unfold, is to gear people, help them improve their game, point them in the right direction so they can, have their own legs to stand on their own. There's always going to be another horse player better than you, right? When it comes to giving out picks, and hopefully most of them are going to be worse. But for myself, for example, I do the show even when I've been out there in social media with a podcast or selling my horse racing picks. Yeah, I was a pro tout for a while. I put that in the background to present my information and put my efforts into a show. The whole thing, never once did I claim during that time, no matter how big my hits were, did I ever go out there on this show or in the past, did I ever go out there and claim to be the best handicapper around? And when I hear people say something like that, and you hear that out there anywhere in social media, or even on my show, some people claim they're the best and use my picks, or yeah, he's the best. I just smile to myself and realize anybody can be the best, and even the best go on losing streaks. So take that with a grain of salt. No such thing as the best out there. The good ones can get it done at any given day. But what about using the picks of others? That's where it gets a little tricky. And that's where this show differs from yesterday. Now we're talking about the picks and using these picks, be it a TV analyst pick or it's somebody you know. There's a time and a place for that. And you want to consider the source. Okay? If it's a race you've already looked at and you have a pretty strong opinion about, and maybe somebody comes to you on the side or somebody reaches out to you, or maybe you want some insight into it from somebody else who you respect and who you might consider better than you or a peer, what have you, but you might just ask them, what do you think about this horse? Or pass along your idea about a given horse to them if they're a friend, right? And you hear it, right? Maybe they give you, their insight. But what if they come to you and they say, Al, use, this race going off at Woodbine later. I really, really like this horse, use it. And they give you their reason why. What do you like about it? And usually they'll give you a reason. And maybe it's a race you didn't look at before. So, you'll still research it on your own to see if you like the horse. Look at the race, right? Sometimes they have inside information from a trainer. Maybe it's something from their own experience that they've been following. And it's strong. And they've given you some good picks before. So you'll look into it. And if you have a really strong opinion about another horse in that race, yeah, you could use your horse, but also use the one that this reliable source gave you. Use it along with it, no matter how you use it. If it's in an exacta or a multi-race play or just a straight win place bet. Now, I've had some real success with this over the years. Now, these selections from others are out there, even before I got started with horse racing playing. I remember in the early 80s, I was working at some restaurant, right? I was working at a restaurant, and I wasn't a horse player. I was a horse racing fan, and I got some tips. There was one guy that was the salad guy, and he was always into horse racing. And he would tell me sometimes, not every day, he played every day that I was there, one track or another, right? Because maybe 50 feet down from the restaurant was an OTB. It was a popular restaurant in the area. And there was an OTB, so you can go right outside the restaurant and place a bet. So it was very convenient. He gave me one horse. The first one horse he gave me was a trotter horse, Alan. He goes, I know you don't play horse racing, but, if you have a few bucks to put on a horse, throw it on it. It's worth a look. And he had some connections, right? And harness racing, no doubt. And he gave me the tip, and I threw like $5 on the horse just to win. It turns out the horse opened up at about, it was at Yonkers, opened up at about 20 to 1 or something, and wound up being 5 to 1. And he won, going away by a mile, right? And so sometimes people get information. And another one, there was a guy at the bar who had connections. He didn't exactly know much about the racing itself. He was a gambler, but he had inside connections. He had money, kind of a shady character. And he gave me a tip. And he gave me a tip on a horse that was running, I think it was in the Belmont Stakes, or I think it was the Belmont Stakes. It was the early 80s as well, when I was still at the restaurant. Now, this guy would be at the bar area. He would never, they'd have a huge, beautiful bar, right? Where a lot of people would come in, a lot of regulars would just come in to use the bar. They wouldn't, the restaurant was big. They wouldn't even go in the restaurant and eat in there at all. Maybe once in a blue moon, right? And this guy gives me a horse named Temperance Hill. And the horse was giant odds. And I was like, okay, I didn't know much about the horse. I didn't know about PPs. I wasn't reading racing form then. And I played it to win place. And this horse won the race. It was a Triple Crown race. And then later, there's a race named after him now, the Temperance Hill Stakes. So sometimes, and he got this information from somebody else who was a very, very connected, reliable source. And he says, no, do trust me on this one. Even if it's a couple of bucks, this is worth it. And it came in. So sometimes you get some tips like that. You're not going to get tips like that during a regular card. Sometimes you don't get tips like that for weeks or months or a week. But when they come through, pay attention to them. If you have a really skilled player that still you want to have your own knowledge of the race first. If you want to add their horse and you really like a horse, fine. If they give you a horse, say, in the 5th, and you're not going to get a chance to play the races, and they let you know, I really like this horse, and, think about it, take a look at it, and don't tell anybody about it. That's always a good sign, because a lot of times they'll pass this information to you, and it's not something they want everybody spreading all over the place. Especially if you have connections or you have a media presence. They want to keep these races to themselves. So if a friend's a really good handicapper comes up with this and what do you like about this? What's the reason? And they'll give you the reason. You can take a look into it. And yeah, you're not going to get a chance to look at the PPs that day, or you're not going to play the races. And you see the horse is like a 10 to 1 shot, even if it's a 5 to 1 that looks really solid. But especially the long shots, that's when these tips come in. You may want to throw a few bucks on it, right? What the hell is it going to hurt you? And whatever you feel comfortable putting on the horse. But yeah, then you may want to consider going to somebody else. These TV analysts, are these the best handicappers in the world? The most knowledge? They're extremely skilled. They have knowledge to share. Some of their picks are better than others. In yesterday's video about using the horse racing TV analyst, I talked about taking notes and grading them on their picks and keeping a log. So this way you can see who are the more reliable ones, and pay attention, especially to the ones that have the same racing style as you. Because everybody has a different a style, or the type of races, or the type of angle they feel most comfortable and have the most success with. And you want to keep track of that yourself in your wagering. What types of races am I winning the most? Am I very strong in turf sprints, 5.5 furlong turf sprints? Am I good in route races? Do I have success with even the wages? What type of wages am I hitting the most? What type of ones am I hit to a lesser degree, or I'm throwing money away in? And pay attention to that. And the analysts on TV, when they talk about these type of races that fit the condition that you are successful at, pay attention to what they like and why. And maybe they give you some information, not so much their picks, but some information about those horses or those sires, and the breeding that fit that type of race. So you could take note of the information the analyst gives you, not so much their picks, because the information they give you, the horse racing information, those are facts. they have to present you with facts on the show, and they're well versed on those. So even if they suck as a player, you can gain something by listening to what they have about the conditions and different factors that are going into that race. So keep that in mind. I'm not talking about who's the best analyst based on their picks. It's more 75% the information they give you, and maybe 25% of the picks. And again, take it with a grain of salt there, their picks. And you want to keep an eye, be able to make these picks on your own. So who's the best handicapper? I know some handicappers that are definitely better than me. They have better knowledge offhand of the breeding. They have inside information, connections to the track, connections personal. They know the trainers and jockeys as friends. They've worked with them. They've worked within the business for years. When I first got started in handicapping in 2007, none of my friends played the horses, and people in my family. My father would play once in a while when he got a tip, but he was no handicapper. He never handicapped the races. He might look at the paper if he was playing or going to the track with his friends and look at the odds, or maybe bet something that somebody said. But I didn't have any connections in there. I had to build my knowledge base on my own. And basically, for the first 4 years, took me 4 years to be a consistent winning player, I started in 2007. In 2011, I began winning consistently, right through this day, and ahead since then. But I built my knowledge base on its own. I was ordering horse racing books. I was watching the races. I got proficient at reading the racing form. I listened to the analysts on TV. In the beginning, I played some of their picks, let them talk me off my horses that I like best, and learn quickly that is a recipe for disaster. These guys, with the picks, sometimes they were right, but most of the time they were wrong. And sometimes they were wrong, and it really cost me. But I listened to them, to what they said about it, and took note of their actual hardcore information, facts that they pass along. But who's the best player? So what I learned, ordering books, reading various books on the topic. And over the years, as I got involved with the podcast, when I had the podcast, I was a writer for Bleacher Report sports correspondent. Actually, I elevated to the correspondent level for a few years there. I got to meet people within the horse racing industry, some who work in the industry. Some are well known. Some are top handicappers that have won tournaments. One was actually a handicapping winner in the Vegas tournament, and got to meet these people, know them as friends, and discuss horse racing with them. And some are not here anymore, meaning they passed away, but some of them are still alive. And I'm fortunate enough to not have these people as friends, but people I can talk horse racing with and discuss situations, or get inside information, or tips, good horse racing picks. Al, I really like this horse in this race, and they don't come along every day. Trust me on that. And when they do, now I have connections like that. Some of them I have on my show sometimes. John De Silva, for example, I've had on my show numerous times. And he might be the best handicapper probably that I know. And he's not a TV analyst, but he is a pro, and a winning pro. And he's already marketed his picks within a team online for a price, and it's a well-deserved price. He brings to the table a lot of knowledge. I talk about these analysts on TV having a knowledge bank that is incredible. They can forget more than a collective group of other analysts already know. And and John is one of them, a walking, talking encyclopedia of horse racing and stories about the jockeys, about the trainers, the jockeys, the horses, their history, everybody. And he's worked in the field. He's been a television analyst, No, he's actually been a guest on TV shows numerous times in radio, WFAN, giving out his selections for big races. But he was the lead writer for the New York Post for 19 years. And he went on to be a line maker. So he's not only knows how to handicap the horses, he knows how to handicap the public and know when a situation steps up where the stars are aligned and you can get a really good pick. So yeah, I have him on the show. Just an incredible guy and a friend, and a horse racing, second to none out here. But again, even with him, there's no such thing as the best handicapper in the world, or anybody. If you're really sharp, you can beat the best, or you can be the top winner on any given day. So, and again, the big thing is that you want to build your strength, that you can make an opinion on your own, not somebody's going to be there that you can call or is going to be next to you giving you picks when you play. Because when you're doing some serious playing, let's face it, you're going to be out there making those picks on your own. You're not going to be getting on TVG or hope that somebody's going to give you a pick. That's not where it's going to come from. Your main source has to be you. If you get one or something from somebody you know, or comes along in some other fashion, consider that a bonus. You want to be able to stand on your own. That's what I mean by being your top analyst. It doesn't mean being you're the best analyst or horse player or handicapper out there. So keep that in mind when using your picks. Okay, using the tips of others. Consider where the source is coming from, how reliable they are, why, and why you still want to look into it. Now, if you're a beginner at horse racing and you're learning to read the form and you're watching these people on TV, or if you have a handicapper out there that you know, happen to know personally, maybe you want to listen to them a little bit, and you still want to follow along and see what your horse brings to the table and what you think about the race as well. And if you like another one, all right, you could add your horse to the mix, get it in there if you think it really has a shot, or otherwise maybe you want to go with the pick of your experienced horse racing friend. But I wouldn't say all the time. And I'm going to go back to one thing. When I say a good handicapper that knows what they're doing, they can be top numero uno on any given day. And I see that even on my show. When I do my live shows with, we have a tremendous community who joins in and shares, because I have open chat during these shows when I cover all the races, analysis, picks, and plays, and open chat for all the races. Tremendous players join the show on a regular basis. And if you watch the show, you'll see who these players are, who hit big sometimes and give out their picks before the race. And even those players, they go droughts sometimes without winning, and then they'll have a big hit now and then. So even those, keep in mind, you want to be able to handicap on your own, because some players are out there, oh yeah, I'm the best one out here, use my picks. And you always got those. You always got characters in horse racing, but take it with a grain of salt. And some of these players, they're like, oh, yeah, I got this, I got that. And then boom, they lose a couple of races and crickets, they're gone. They win a race, they pop up again, tell you they won. But keep that in mind. And I've seen players that on my show, getting back to the main gist of this thing I'm talking about right here, come on here and be the top star of that show that I'm doing on a night with some outrageous hits. And these are beginners who are learning the game, and what they have in common is they already are building a good knowledge base for playing the game. And they've been playing the game sometimes even less than a year, sometimes 6-7 months. And they deliver some command performance, huge hits on the show. And where they're the star, and none of the experts picked it, none of the top handicappers picked it, but they picked it. It shows that if you're on and you have an idea of what you're doing out there, you have the chance to deliver the goods and be the top one at any given time in these races, provided you have an idea what you're looking for and know how to read, interpret the data, and put something together. And lo and behold, you can hit on any given day big. Any best handicapper out there? No such thing. I want to thank everybody for watching. and let your horse racing friends know about the channel. I think they will enjoy it. If you want to get notifications of all upcoming new and live and pre-recorded shows, hit the subscribe button and hit the like if you enjoyed the show and found it worthwhile. Feedback is always appreciated. So have a great day, everybody. Best of luck if you're playing today. And as always, win big.